how's it going? Today we are making cold brew coffee, one of my favorite things in the world. And here I'm just showing the kind of coffee I'm using and the water that I'm using. So for the coffee, I am actually using a blonde roast, a coffee that has a lot of body to it, but isn't acidic and also has a lot less bitterness to it. I don't like to add tons of sweetener to my coffee. You can really use any coffee you like, and I would recommend trying it with different coffees to really find that flavor that works well for you. So here I'm adding a cup of coffee to my jar. This jar is actually larger than a quart jar. You can use really any large jar that you would like. You could use a coarser ground coffee in this one, like a French press ground. That way it's easier to filter, but honestly it doesn't really matter what ground you use because it's going to be steeping in this water for around 12 to 18 hours. Now for every third cup of coffee that I'm putting into this jar, I am putting in a cup and a half of water. So in total I have 1 cup of coffee and 4.5 cups of water. Now I'm just pressing it down with my wooden spoon, stirring it around a little bit, trying to get all the grounds in there under the water as I can before I just let it be and seal up the jar. You can use a cheesecloth to cover this jar. I lost the lid to this one. I'm just using a little bit of saran wrap and a rubber band. I had combined that coffee grounds and water at about 8 a.m. and now it's actually about 8 p.m. So just about 12 hours later, I'm starting to do the filtration process. I've set up my workstation. I have the jar that I will be finally pouring it into, but I also have a bowl, a sieve, and I put 2 coffee filters in. You see, I kind of just cup them large. That way there won't be as much spillage. But here's one tip, because I've made this mistake before. Make sure you break up the grounds before you start to pour the coffee brew, because one time I did it without breaking up that stuff and it became like a giant plug. It plopped out of the jar into the bowl and splattered coffee all over my kitchen. It was a nightmare to clean up, but definitely something to remember. So here I'm just slowly pouring it into the sieve, and you can see it really is slowly coming out. The coffee grounds really settle to the very bottom of that filter, and now I just stir it around with a wooden spatula and help push that liquid over those coffee grounds or through them. And I even pick up the sieve and I'll start to tilt it a little bit so that it will, like, there's a clog at the bottom of it, and that helps it come out just a little bit faster, just that stirring around, tilting it, and just really working with it. Now I'm getting ready for the second filter into the jar that I'm actually going to be keeping in the fridge. Now this I find to be really important because there's always those fine grains that like to come through the first filtration, and well, I don't like to eat coffee grounds, but this is what I recommend. I'm using a ladle to try to carry it over, but take a little care, it does spill very easily. It's a little bit of a meticulous process, but once you get the hang of it, it gets pretty easy. Now while I'm doing this, I just want to say that I hope that you give this a try. It really is absolutely delicious, and if you do like it, give me a subscribe because I have new videos coming out. I have another one coming out this week that I think you'll really enjoy, and then I'll have videos coming out 1 to 2 times a week from then on. Now I realized I didn't want to have so much airspace within the jar, so I decided to pour it into a smaller jar in the fridge. That way it would stay fresher longer. And that's just kind of a tip for trying to keep things fresh, as you want as little airspace as possible around your food. So I'm pouring it into a quart jar, which it just fills right to the brim, but it's just perfect. So in future reference, I would probably just pour it directly into the quart jar and not play with the half gallon. Now it's all done, and I'm just going to seal it up and put it in the fridge until the morning. Now it's the next morning and I am already ready to start dressing up my coffee. First I just toss in some ice, and I pour in my cold brew. Now this is a concentrate, so you want to think about how you want to filter it down. Some people just add water into it, which is totally fine. I prefer to use almond milk, mostly because the lighter roast does provide a more delicate flavor, and I don't really want to water that down any further. Now here I'm showing you I'm actually using some Trader Joe's liquid stevia to sweeten my coffee. I only use 1 dropper full. It is quite powerful. There's none of that stevia aftertaste, which is what I really love. It gets it sweet without that stevia aftertaste. Now to flavor my coffee, this is what I like to use, is a little bit of maple extract. It really does give that nutty flavor of real maple syrup, which I absolutely love. You can also use hazelnut extract, vanilla extract, coconut extract, or anything else like that, and it's such an easy way to get a 0-calorie flavor to your coffee and really make it feel like you bought it at the coffee house. Then I'm just using some Costco almond milk, unsweetened, because the stevia, especially the Trader Joe's stevia, it does its job. It does an excellent job. And then I just stir with my favorite metal straw and enjoy.